calm down your headbanging. You're in for another awesome episode of a two-person party. That's Frank and Matt are here to give you your episode 1, The Strain recap on Non-Pro TV Party. People who couldn't be here today because they're jerks is James. We'll call him a jerk.
Jerk.
And Ken, why not? He's a jerk too.
Jerk number two.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, so this is we're doing TV Party a little different this time around. We are recapping last week's episode right before you watch this week's episode, assuming you don't watch it on demand or, you know, like the way people in the 21st century do watch their TV shows. But let's assume you will watch it live. Awesome for you. You're about to get a recap of the first episode of Guillermo del Toro's The Strain. Now, we talked a little bit about this last week, Matt. This is a vampire series penned by Guillermo del Toro. The first episode was definitely written by him, and he kind of created the world or the universe that we're playing in that neither of us have done any research on. We've not read the books. I believe it started as a book and then went to comic, and now
I believe so. Now it's a TV show, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was novel first. I know it was comic before TV show, and it was, I think, originally conceived by Del Toro as a way of, well, this is how my vampires would be different, which is a weird way. It's sort of what I guess like game designers are accused of doing, and fan fiction writers. That's what they do a lot. Like, oh, here's how I would do The Walking Dead. My zombies, they're awesomer. But he obviously has the clout behind him and got the thing done. And I'm impressed. I actually enjoyed the first episode. What did you think of it?
I just finished watching it, and coming just right from watching it, maybe it needs to sit for me another day. Like, I'm interested. I want to check out the next episode, but I'm not really invested in it yet. I feel like I need at least 3 episodes. I always need 3 episodes for a show. So maybe this is just me talking.
Right.
But I don't know. There's things I like, things I were kind of iffy about, and some things I were kind of blah about. But I'm willing to see where the show goes. I mean, overall, I think more interesting parts weighed out the somewhat iffy parts. So I definitely want to check out what's happening next, at least to see where it's going.
Right, and I think we should let's talk a little bit about what we like. So, well, first the episode recap. The episode starts out on a plane, and we get introduced to a cast of characters, a very small cast of stereotypes on a plane. You know, a waitress, a busy business lady, a Marilyn Manson pastiche
sort
rocker,
of kind of thing, yeah.
An innocent little girl, so you know things aren't going to go right, and a bunch of other people in this international flight. And something goes horribly wrong. There is a creature underneath the ship, underneath the airplane, that kind of jump cuts, scares you, and jumps out in this swirling mass of darkness and horror. And I think everything goes dark. And when we pick up the series, effectively this plane has landed, which is surprising to me. I thought it was going to crash or something along those lines. But the plane has landed. And the CDC is called in because nothing is heard on the inside. No one knows why the plane is there. I think it went off its schedule, possibly, and there's no noise or breathing, and it's really cold inside. And the CDC is apparently super good at its job because they didn't just have somebody open the door and say, "I wonder why this plane is here."
No, the CDC has to be first.
Yeah, exactly.
No jurisdiction.
Yep, of course. It's got to be disease. It can't be like a bomb or something. No, it's not poorly done. It was creepy and semi-procedural in the you kind of believe that this conversation might happen. And then we're introduced with our real characters. At this point, I was pretty sure everyone on the plane is dead, and we run into our main character, a doctor from the CDC whose name is John. I can't remember. I actually don't remember the doctor's name, and I think he's the main character. So I think it's Goodweather. Is it Ephraim?
Ephraim Goodweather.
Okay.
I call him Dr. Douchebag.
Yes. So this leads. We should finish the recap, but effectively, the CDC gets involved, and we discover that there is somebody with malicious intent has intentionally brought something dark over. It's basically Dracula.
Yes.
Instead of a boat with a coffin in it, it's an airplane with a really big coffin in it and a bunch of soil and a vampire and all the darkness and horrible things. It's really creepy, but very, very. We don't know what's happening.
Right.
There's some external force, an evil organization possibly, has brought over this creature, possibly in a stupid attempt to look for immortality. And that's basically our show. So one of the things that I find iffy about this show is, in all genre fiction, the point is you really want to root for humans, the real people in the show. You care about these people and their interpersonal. That's why mystery shows or genre shows always have like this, like love triangle going on, or some sort of a father trying to prove himself to his son, some sort of relatable human issue. The meta plot is just what kind of brings you back, but it's not really, Supernatural is about brothers. Lost was possibly about fathers and sons and coming to terms with death. This show, the group of people we are probably most supposed to root for, which I guess would be Dr. Ephraim of the CDC and his crew, are just jerks. Their entire lives are just a mess. I think Matt and I were talking about this. We were talking about this a little earlier. This is something unidentifiably uninteresting in their lives.
I mean, we were both talking about it, and I think we both agreed the thing that really bothered us was the whole entire family counseling session. That scene, just something about it. I mean, like, I get we're supposed to see Ephraim is like really involved with his work, and it kind of affects his personality, but it just wasn't like a character trait. It just started grating on me. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain. It was like I was feeling the annoyance of the marriage counselor, but not in a sense as like understanding. It was like, no, I'm really pissed off at this guy. Like, he needs to shut up.
Yeah, I really don't think you're supposed to root for like unnamed marriage, because it definitely wasn't the wife of Dr. Ephraim Goodweather. I have to keep saying his name or else I'm going to forget who he was. And it wasn't bad acting. Nobody was acting poorly.
It was good acting.
It's hard. Like, it really was hard to care for them. You know what? They started out, the first thing we had to run on these characters is that they're really kind of miserable. And that's really, like, I don't care about them at all as of now. I really don't care anything about them at all. They're just kind of angry. Yeah, this is Follow the Marriage Counselor. I would totally recap that. And there is a weird relationship going on with Ephraim and one of his colleagues at the CDC. Apparently he and his wife are estranged, and he's got this relationship on the side. What was the character's name? Did you say it?
Was it Maria?
Yeah, I think it may have been Nora.
No, Nora. Right.
Anything is possible at this point.
Yes, Nora Martinez.
Yes. So, there was a lot of, like, I've rarely ever cared so much about the virus. Like, the supernatural hoodoo in the background of this, I care a lot more about at this point, which I'm not usually that bad. Like, I'm not... even in the beginning of, let's say, The Walking Dead, which it's hard not to draw parallels, it's a post-apocalyptic show versus a maybe pre-apocalyptic kind of thing, dawn of the apocalypse. But yeah, like, even if I was kind of interested in the biology of the zombies in Walking Dead, I mostly cared. I was screaming about the characters online. This one, it's like, I don't know. These guys, they're just...
I mean, I guess in all fairness, like, the way they presented the virus and stuff, like, what they've showed is really cool, with, like, the soil and the worms, and then them talking about, like, what's happening to the bodies. I actually found that pretty interesting. So, like, I think it's sort of intentional, but I don't think we should really feel bad about being interested in the virus, because I think that's probably going to be one of the big intriguing aspects, just how they're taking this whole entire thing with vampires.
Right. And you know what? I guess I'm just unused to that. Maybe it's even a cop-out that most, like, genre shows say, hey, it's not about it's not about the superheroes, it's about the characters. That's why we don't have any superheroes. It's like, oh, well, this one is actually about the vampires. That's kind of cool. I will say that the one exception on caring about characters came from me witnessing for me, a very awesome scene, a Toy Soldiers reunion from like 1990 or 1991's Toy Soldiers. Sean Astin, who has a role in this show, and the chief bad guy from Toy Soldiers, Andrew Divoff, are both in that movie and on this show, and I was like, oh my god, I have to tweet at them about this. I don't think they. I'm legitimately curious if they hung out on set and said, "Hey,
Toy Soldiers,
that movie we were in
back in '90. Remember '91?
Yeah, Will Wheaton was in that movie. So, talk about it, Will Wheaton project. But all right. So aside from those characters, and also I'll give propers to Abraham. Yes. That was a very interesting character. He's our old. He's the old pawn shop operator. He clearly has had run-ins with these creatures before. He's a survivor of the Holocaust. He has a run-in with a bunch of gang members that he deals with really cool. That's a character I'm very interested in following up on.
Yeah, he's probably the character I'm most interested in, just because, we have the scene with how we dealt with the muggers, and then the scene right afterwards. I don't know if you want to talk about how this was.
Sure.
The whole entire. Yeah.
Our favorite things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So David Bradley is a great actor, and he did a great job in this as this character, and one of my favorite scenes of this opening show. So we're going to talk about it a little bit right now about the design and the way the film is shot. I really enjoy the creepiness. There's a lot of video camera footage, not found footage, but video camera. Like there's a monster going through really quickly, and it's more the humans' reactions to what they're seeing than what it is. There's an evil organization. I think they're called like Evil Co. It's ridiculous.
Might as well at this point.
It is a really insane name. Hold on, I had this open, but. It's a very horrible, stupid organization. But it's like Underworld-esque. Like I didn't realize this at all about the show, that there would be a level of it that was the supernatural creatures are intelligent and within our infrastructure. It seems like that's the case. I think we've already met some intelligent vampires who are Vampire the Masquerading us right now.
Yeah.
It was Stoneheart Group. Yeah, and the evil guy who recruited him was Eldritch Palmer. If you get a job interview from Eldritch Palmer at Stoneheart Group, just run away. Just run away. But one of the very cool, creepy aesthetics, the Del Toro aesthetics in this pawn shop, which would be like the perfect set piece for a Del Toro project, is this heart in a jar that Abraham has, and it's my favorite scene. So as Abraham, pricks his finger and feeds Audrey his blood, these worms, which are the host for the virus that causes vampirism. I don't know if it's an infection or a bacteria or a virus or a parasite. It doesn't matter. But these little worms start coming out of the heart, and starts to vibrate wildly, and it was gruesome. That's my takeaway Del Toro moment. That's like that's a creepy thing. That's the eyeball guy from Pan's Labyrinth or various other awesome things that you've seen in those movies. Do you have a favorite thing you want to share?
Well, that was definitely one of my favorite scenes, but another one of my favorite scenes was the autopsy scene, where he finally starts to take out the things, and we see another one of those weird heart things, but like this time like out of like the jar, so you see it fully. And it's really creepy and grotesque, and I thought that was a really neat design. But then you also get like the horror thing of all the bodies start rising up.
Yeah.
And also you have a little bit of human stupidity as the coroner immediately takes off his gloves when he realizes the worms are on him. So he's like, Yeah. But him all like grabbing like the scissors and trying to cut out that worm, and it's struggling, and like how it's really hard to get those worms out of you. I thought that was squicky, creepy stuff.
Yeah.
But in an enjoyable way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was Sweet Caroline playing in the background.
Sweet Caroline in the background. I thought that
Of
was really
course,
neat.
perfect. Yeah, so it was. There are lots of interesting things. The entire design of all this, the creature and the coffin and the soil and the worms, really cool. Definitely worth watching if you're a horror fan. I watched it with people who are typically not horror fans, and or they're not. They're like novices. In other words, they were frightened throughout the show. So you got like lots of jump scares, but not cheap ones where it turns out to be a cat. I'm talking about like horrible things happening and it looking gruesome and interesting and creepy. So it's got that cool aesthetic, and that's what you need to get a show that's mainstream popular. You got to get like the normal people to like it. You got to get the normal people, not the horror fans only, or the zombie heads or whatever, or the vampire fans. You got to get normal people liking it. And I think this has a chance of making it. I think it has a chance of getting people talking about these creepy vampires, who of course aren't sparkling because that's a big deal to us. All right, so I do have at least one, I think one final question to pose to you, Matt, and to our watchers. Okay. Again, we talked about The Strain being originally a book of some sort. I think it was a novel, but it definitely was a comic book. So in situations where you haven't yet read the source material and it becomes a TV show, I guess, or a movie, assuming that TV show or movie isn't the original source material, what do? Do you go back and read the source material? Do you purposely avoid it so that the TV show isn't spoiled? Do you have a particular, like, does it depend on the situation?
That's really tough. I guess it really depends. You see, like, there's a couple ways. Like, for something like Lord of the Rings, I tried reading the novels before the movies came out when I was young, and I really couldn't get into it. But after seeing the movies, I got really interested. So, like, after I saw the movies, I was like, okay, now's a good time to read the novel and see how the two compare.
Yeah.
But for something like Game of Thrones, actually, one of the reasons why I really can't get into the series because people talk about the book all the time. So I was like, okay, now I really don't want to watch this show. So I guess something like television where it's ongoing, like I want to follow the show because I don't want to get too far ahead of everybody.
Right.
And I guess once a show is finished, I'll go back and read the books to see. But I think if for something like a television show going on, I feel like for something that I've never experienced before, I consider the show to be the primary source.
Yeah, I could see that kind of.
If you sort of see what I'm getting at.
Yeah, like why would you? It's adaptation. Decay is like a thing. It does happen. If you make a version of something, it's going to change at least and probably get worse, often get worse. So why subject yourself to that is often the argument I have in my head. I think for me it depends on the source or it depends on the original source and what people think about it. So for like Attack on Titan, I did not go out and get the manga. I couldn't.
That's true.
There's a lot of it.
Same thing.
And I kind of wanted the series to stand on its own in my head.
That was actually the same situation with me. I actually refused to read the manga until the season was over, but I guess maybe it's something unique to that series. Once the series was over, I read the rest of the manga that the anime hasn't covered yet. Mostly because I was interested in I had to see what happened next. So
yeah,
I think it depends on what the actual work is too. If it's something I'm really curious about, I think I'll break my own rules.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. For Game of Thrones, I wanted to read the books first because I've had friends who liked it so much. And it's weird because now it's become really part of the culture. I wanted to read the books before as like season 1 of this show was up. And now that we're like on season 3 or whatever, now I kind of feel like if I had warned myself in the past better, I wouldn't have read them. On the other hand, Walking Dead, I do not want to read the comics until I feel like more of the show is done, because I don't want to keep, because it seems to me that everybody who's read the comics of The Walking Dead sort of seems a little upset at where the show is going, and I don't need to have another reason to roll my eyes at the show. Go like, oh, so much better before. So I guess it would depend on this. In this case, I feel almost. Well, first episode, way too soon, but right now I could see myself picking up the comics because I'm very curious what they would do when the sensors are completely turned off. Yeah. Well, tonight, actually, in about a half hour, we're going to have episode 2 of The Strain. I am looking forward to it. I encourage you guys to check out the first episode and decide for yourselves. But I think, at very least, Matt and I, we're going to give it about 3 episodes and to see how much we like it. I think I will say one more thing about the acting, and it's not related to how little I am interested in their life stories, but one of the characters, the young actress who played Emma, who is like the quintessential little girl who's gone creepy and undead, she really did sell it for me. Like yeah, it was something. She did a good job of that character of being. I would really hate to find out that was like a toy. Like when she was dead in the plane and they were investigating her, there was something very horrible and alien and depressing. Right after that CDC scene where they're like arguing over who gets. So I guess it is. It's very lightly breaking my shell of I don't care about you. Oh, we'll see. Maybe these characters are savable.
Yeah, we'll check out episode 2. See what happens.
Yep, absolutely. Matt, thanks for joining me.
All right, thanks for having me, Frank.
Everyone, go watch The Strain. It's on
Check it out.
television. Bye.
Thanks.